Hello students, welcome to episode 2 of How to Write a Thesis Statement. This is also tip number 2, your thesis statement must be narrow. In a previous video we covered how you can make your thesis statement strong, and now here it's how to make it narrow or more precise, more specific. So I have these two images up on the screen. One kind of encapsulates what I mean when I say broad, and one what I mean when I say specific. When I say that a thesis statement is too broad, it means that it can go in so many different directions. There's no clear-cut answer on where you're taking your paper. It can go in a number of different places. And even though this image only shows 4, for many of you, when you write a broad thesis statement, you probably have 5, 6, 7 plus places that your paper can technically go and what you could be talking about. Whereas you want to be on the other image, you want to be more specific, where you take that information in that box and you point it towards a very specific place. So we took this example of soda is an unhealthy drink. Now think, is that going to be broad or is that going to be specific? Hopefully you said broad. It is too broad of a statement for it to be a good thesis statement, and there's other problems with it as well, but it is certainly broad. Now, as opposed to soda is an unhealthy drink and should not be consumed, versus the federal government should tax the sale of soda in order to dissuade people from purchasing it because it is unhealthy. So where would you put all of these? We know that the first one's definitely broad, but what about the second one? Where would you place that? Some of you might put it in broad, some of you might put it in specific. It's somewhat relative. It's kind of in the middle. I would lean towards putting it in broad because there is too many things that we can talk about with that specific statement, whereas that last one is certainly going to be specific, and I'll illustrate what I mean by that. So if we take that initial statement, soda is an unhealthy drink, look at all those different ideas that I can write about in that paper. I can write about what's actually unhealthy about soda. I can write about how kids should not drink soda. I can write about all the different health complications it leads to. I could even write about how it adds to weight gain for individuals. Again, who am I actually directing this paper for? What will I actually be talking about? Am I saying soda is an unhealthy drink for kids, for parents, for adults? For who? Am I talking about Americans, not Americans? I could even go a step further. Maybe I have other issues with specific types of soda. So there's so many things that I can talk about with this one statement, which means it is not a good thesis statement, because what is my paper going to be about? Now, chances are, if you have this broad of a statement, you end up writing about all these things on this list, and that each one of these then becomes a paragraph. You no longer have a specific argument. You have a very general and generic statement that is a blanket statement for your entire paper, and you're not actually saying anything. Now compare that to the specific one. Our specific statement is that the federal government should tax the sale of soda in order to dissuade people from purchasing it because it is unhealthy. That is much more specific, and look at that information, that thesis statement leads straight to this one idea: to tax soda so people are less likely to buy it. That is super specific, and it is getting my point across, and my paper is going to be very precise. So ultimately, ask yourself this question: are you dropping a nuclear bomb, or are you being a sniper? Now think about these two weapons. A nuclear bomb will not just kill one person. You drop it, and that entire area is affected, whether or not you meant for it to be that way. Whereas with a sniper, you are going to specifically target out one person, and you are going to be able to hit your target. So those are two different weapons here. And now think about that in reference to what I just spoke about. Is your thesis statement a nuclear bomb that's going to destroy everything around it, and it's going to talk about everything that it's associated with, and everyone's going to be affected regardless of whether or not you intended it to be that way? Or is your thesis statement more of a sniper, where it's going to be precise, it's going to talk about a specific issue, it's going to have a specific argument, and it's going to lead your paper to talk about all of those specific pieces of evidence that help support it, and you're going to have a targeted approach to your paper? So trick number 2 is simply be a sniper, meaning be precise. Don't let yourself fall into the trap of having a very broad thesis statement to where you don't really have much to write about because there's too much to write about.